my name's Nathan Sala, and this is my speech, There's No Such Thing as Non-Essential. In my last speech, I discussed how a proper response to the US COVID crisis in America has been delayed due to just this mass argument between what can be considered essential and what can be considered non-essential. And thanks to one of my peers' evaluations of my last speech, I've been able to change the way I think about answering this question. I believe that the government needs to focus its energy on the more important institutions of society rather than things like the entertainment business. But my peer Paige Hillman discussed in a Q&A that although things such as the entertainment business may not seem immediately beneficial to society, they are extremely beneficial to the workers of those businesses and the owners of those businesses. Therefore, I've determined that there really is no such thing as a non-essential business. And because of this, the government must make it a priority to help support the workers of these closed businesses instead of just pushing it off and making it a side job for less powerful legislative bodies like state bodies. And once the government can do this, we'll be one step closer to solving the COVID crisis in America. The first road bump will be ending the essential non-essential debate. What some consider to be an essential business, I think it's more accurate to call them resourceful businesses to society, since there is no such thing as essential and non-essential. I define these resourceful businesses as something that society uses to maintain a healthy lifestyle and to better itself in the future. An example of this would be schools, hospitals, government offices, and like small scale retail and grocery stores. Any other business isn't less essential, it's just that we don't rely on them as often for our daily needs. But even though we don't rely on them as often, many people are still hurt by these closures. A study done by the Pew Research Center showed that over the first 3 months of COVID, 14 million Americans lost their jobs. Now, to put this into perspective, during the Great Recession, only 8.8 million lost their job over a time span of 2 years. While closures are necessary to maintain the public safety occasionally, there are ways that the government can help support the workers affected by these closures. The Texas Workforce Commission has an online job search that seeking workers can apply for, and they even provide a service to inform the public on fraudulent websites that pose as providing for the same source. Also, Aaron McLaughlin states in an article on unemployment during COVID that there are programs spouting up around the country that help guide small businesses into reopening while still following regulations made because of COVID. Apart from government bodies, many local businesses are still trying to find ways to stay open and support their workers. The State Fair of Texas, although it was closed this year, they're still serving their food, their iconic food in drive-through lines, which still benefits the workers and vendors who rely on the State Fair every year for income. Most of these vendors really rely on the State Fair for their entire income of the year. Also, Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros, is still helping support its workers by keeping its food kitchens inside the stadium open, which people can order food from using apps like Grubhub, DoorDash, and even the At-Bat Baseball app. However, the government has failed many times in helping support the workers of closed businesses. As I read in an article posted by the Congressional Research Service, the unemployment insurance provision was a bill that would have helped workers increase their eligibility for compensation. However, the House of Representatives voted against this amendment, making it harder for these workers to earn compensation. So, while the government has done some things to help support these workers, it is my belief that they're simply not doing enough. And one solution I propose is the implementation of work programs. Work programs can be used by people who have been laid off in order to maybe learn new skills, possibly to work in another business that is still open, or to just find work somewhere else that they're needed. One problem that laid off workers are facing is there's no well-established plan for them, like a work program. The U.S. Department of Labor released an article saying that there are preemptive grants that businesses can apply for in order to protect them from closures, and also to protect their workers. However, many of these businesses are closed before they're able to apply for these grants. So this kind of goes to show that the government was sort of acting too fast during COVID. They closed all these businesses without having a concrete plan for how to support these workers. Today, the media really casts a shadow on how this is being handled. They really just show all the negatives, and that's really had an impact on the overall morale of the country. Not necessarily of the country, of these seeking workers. They're kind of seeing all these just stories of how there's not a lot of hope, how there's not a lot of people hiring, when in reality we really need to be pushing that there's a lot that we can be doing, such as these work programs, in order to support these laid off workers. Once we can put aside our varying opinions, we can begin to move on as a society, and really begin to move past this whole COVID crisis. You see, the problem is we're too busy arguing politics, arguing what's essential, what's not essential, when really we just need to focus on helping each other out. Right now, America's just going to be known for doing the minimal and worsening division and not doing its best in helping laid off workers. And right now, during such a crisis, during a year that will for sure go down in history books, there's no time to divide, there's no time to argue. We have to support each other, and we have to do so now in order to help the public safety, decrease the spread of COVID, and to move on from this economic downturn that we're suffering from because of COVID. These are my sources and the images. All right, thank you.